You're watching the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey here once again with one of our live mailbags, answering your questions as they come in on the show. A super chat to begin from Jimmy Productions. Do you think if we sign Cole Beasley or Emmanuel Sanders, our receiving core is good? Maybe you feel a bit more confident in terms of some of the lower end outcomes. I also don't know how much better that makes you like your top end outcomes, right? Like both those guys are old vets. I would actually prefer Sanders now that you've got KaVontae Turpin to maybe your punt returner, but there's also an outcome in which Sanders is maybe wide receiver 4 on this team right now, and that doesn't really move the needle at all. Another one from Jimmy Productions here. I really like the KaVontae Turpin pickup. I think he could be our third receiver and be what Michael Gallup has been. I think he is better than James Washington. I think we have to adjust our expectations. I'm fine with what Turpin brings you on special teams. Even Mike McCarthy said that's going to be his job and his goal on the roster is to contribute in that area, to be a return, maybe on both punts and kicks, by the way. But he doesn't play like Michael Gallup. This is a 5'9", 155-pound receiver. This is not somebody who's going to drastically contribute as a receiver. Maybe some slot reps and maybe a gimmick player, but I don't know if he's going to be better than Washington. I don't think he's going to be better than Tolbert. So I think if he's receiver 5, you're probably happy with that outcome. We do have some super thanks to get to as well. First up from Tyler Parrott. So Tampa, with weapons galore, saw fit to bring in Julio Jones, even though now he's just another guy. Yet we refuse to burn up less than $10 million of our $20+ million worth of cap space to add another established veteran on a one-year deal at receiver, running back, linebacker, center, or defensive line. Tyler, by the way, continued with, frankly, I'm sick of this. When the East is not good enough, we're not good enough. What am I missing? Nothing. I think you're right, Tyler. This is how the Cowboys front office chooses to do business. Here's what's going to happen. They might add a player or two with some of that salary cap space, but they're going to roll over the vast majority of it to next year. And they're going to pair it we got to pay CeeDee Lamb, we got to pay Trayvon Diggs. They're going to drag their feet on those deals, pay those guys more because that's how Steve Andrews has run things for years now. And then they're going to have the gall to say, well, we got that Micah Parsons deal coming up too, even though you can't pay Micah for at least 2 years. They're going to roll that salary cap space over. It's going to happen, and then they'll blame the pie taken up by various players as the reasoning why, even though other teams have shown the salary cap can be manipulated. So with that in mind, what is your confidence level in the Cowboys front office? Scale it 1 to 100. 1 being you have almost no confidence. They are frauds at the highest order. 100 being I think they're going to be an elite group and you trust them implicitly. This is the pinned comment on today's show, so if the ad break comes on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. From Mark, some more frustration here, and I get it. What frustrates me as a fan, we only have 7 players or so that would start on 80% of teams. We have $23 million in salary cap space. Where is all the money going? Now we have 20 great players to sign. I do think you have more than 7 players who would start on most NFL teams. Brett's doing the math right now in his head, so I'll let him do it. He's got at least 8 already. I think you're higher than that. I still, if we're talking 80%, so we're saying what, top 10-ish player at their position and top 20 depending on how many guys you start there. I've got Lamb. I've got maybe Gallup. I'm not going to count him though for these purposes. Smith, Martin, Schultz, Dak. I think you can start Zeke's top 10 back, by the way. Tank Lawrence, probably not Osen, though he's a good starter. Parsons, Diggs, and I might throw Jaron Kearse in that mix. And I don't think he's top 80%, but Anthony Brown's a good player. You're talking about top-end guys. You maybe dealt one of those guys away in Amari Cooper. But you're right. There is all that cap space. Where's the money going? They're going to kick the can down the road. And in 2 years, by the way, my friends, they will be among the lower ones in active cap spending. Just wait. From Corey, just want to say I really appreciate you, Tom. I'm sure I speak for a lot of us. Videos every day is a lot of work. Thank you, Corey. This is my day job. I appreciate you watching. So help me feed my family by making sure you guys are subscribed here to the Dallas Cowboys Report for, just like Corey mentioned, daily videos on everything going on around the Dallas Cowboys. So if you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe. You can also follow us, by the way, on Rumble. We have Cowboys Report after hours following our live shows like this one right now. So make sure you're following us, rumble.com/CowboysTV. From Degoted, as we hit the $69 amount in Super Chats, shots coming up later. I see Tony Pollard as a Miles Sanders. Super fast, but shouldn't be a starter. I think he would get hurt easily. What's your take, Tom? I push back against some of the Tony Pollard isn't big enough for the Cowboys or isn't consistent enough. I mean, his touches last year were, 169. That's a pretty decent amount of touches. So I don't think he can be a Derrick Henry workload guy. I think he's more of a 1A, 1B in a rotation. But he's too good to not get the ball in his hands. So whether we say starter, rotation, playmaker, whatever, I'm fine with that. Again, he's not Derrick Henry. He's not prime Zeke from a workload standpoint, but he can get you 180 touches a year. I don't see why not, if not more. From Jimmy Productions, I would be a great GM. I actually would sign and go after big-name free agents, and I wouldn't be afraid to overpay. I'll also trade for good players. It is that simple. Maybe if the Cowboys ever give me ownership and my 10-year plan or I sell comes to fruition, we can go from there, my friend. Maybe I'll see if you become GM. From Randy, I thought we learned from the Hardy signing. Now we're signing women beaters not once but twice. That is both Josh Ball and it is the latest one of KaVontae Turpin. I mean, it's what they do. I don't like it. I know you don't like it. I hope it doesn't rear its ugly head, but we also can't say we didn't warn the Cowboys what might happen. What might happen. Jimmy Productions feeling down bad today. The truth is that the Eagles are a better team. I think overall, roster-wise, yes. The one big difference is the quarterback. Dak Prescott versus Hurts. If the Eagles had Hurts, I think nationally they'd be talked about as one of the favorites from the Super Bowl, at least make it to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. Like that roster overall, really good. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, the best offensive line in football. Really good defensive players minus, maybe linebacker overall. On paper, yes. Quarterback is the big gap there right now. A super thanks from Timothy, by the way. He says, any thoughts on signing potential 2023 free agents? No Catboy thoughts, only GM Tom thoughts. Okay. Your big guys internally are Dalton Schultz, Tony Pollard. I don't think I want to pay the premium for Dalton Schultz, so I might look at a cheaper option. Maybe even a Mike Gesicki from that team, who's not a great blocker as far as I'm concerned there. Tony Pollard, one of your other big internal guys from that standpoint there. Outside free agents. I would love to break the bank on Jesse Bates. I think that'd be fun. You're going to use multiple safety sets with Hurst and Hooker, who those guys aren't always healthy, by the way. Maybe some more realistic names to at least keep in mind from that standpoint here. How about Juan Thornhill, my boy, who I've loved for a very long time here. I would love Juan Thornhill in Dallas. I will push that campaign again if I need to. And how about offensively? How about Eric McCoy, the center? He's a free agent. Saints may or may not bring him back. And if you want to dump Biotish, that'd be a big upgrade. So those are some names that maybe could make some sense there. Some other super thanks shout-outs to get to. Mighty Ant 0215 and Daniel Gannis. Thank you guys so much for your super thanks. Remember, if you're watching on demand, i.e. outside of a live video, we've got plenty of options for you guys. Thanks to YouTube's introduction of super thanks. You can now donate outside of live videos. Click the thanks icon. You kind of see the icon over there, right? The heart with the dollar sign in the middle of it. We appreciate your support. If you do a super thanks, we will give you a shout out on a show. A big thanks to everyone who's already done so. From Ruben, player or players the Cowboys can sign now? I think they're going to wait. They brought in two of the guys they worked out, Malik Jefferson and Turpin, signed them both. I think they will wait and see how things look in camp. Give it a week or two. And if there's a bad spot or an injury, then maybe they could start to make some change there from that standpoint. So just keep an eye on it moving forward here. Zeno's saying, who's better, Jeremy or Tom in Madden, just for fun? Well, Jeremy's not here, although I do think he's better at Madden. I would smoke him in NCAA 14, though. I have no doubts about that. From next up here from Hunter Floyd, sign Dee Ford. He just got released. So Ford did get released, and I've seen DMs and Twitter questions, so I'm not surprised to get one here. Ford is injured all the time. The number one ability is availability, and that's been a key harping point this offseason for the Dallas Cowboys. And their approach has been, maybe not from that standpoint. We want guys who are out there. And Dee Ford's game is not being healthy. He's played, I think, in 7 games the past 2 years. When he's healthy, he's normally pretty good. But I don't know if he's ever going to be healthy again, and that's a pretty big red flag. Now, if the Cowboys do sign somebody like Dee Ford, we'll break it down for you here on the Dallas Cowboys Report. Hit that big red button and subscribe for free videos. Sometimes, multiple times a day, you had the 2 videos on Wednesday thanks to the KaVontae Turpin signing. And if you want to be a part of the mailbags, then you got to be subscribed. Hit that big red button right now. From Jimmy Productions, who are some wide receivers we could draft in 2023? So a lot of this depends on how things get played out in terms of your current core. You've re-signed Michael Gallup. You have Silemu in theory. It's going to be your wide receiver 1. And you drafted Jaelon Tolbert in the 3rd round. In the event one of those guys are bad, then you could reconsider from that standpoint. And maybe you go all out for a Quentin Johnson would be a fun fit out of TCU, give you some better size there. Jordan Addison, if he slides. Josh Downs, undersized, but gives you the speed you don't really have. If you're going to wait a little bit, I wouldn't mind a Tyler Harrell. The Louisville, Alabama transfer brings you speed, which, again, you don't really have right now. Maryland's got some good receivers. Stop, if you've ever heard this before, it's going to be a good receiver class. So there will be options for the Cowboys if they want to go that route. I would say maybe tight end, better spot to watch. From John Jacob Jingly Smith, fun fact, that was Brett's name, and then he changed it because of all the people shouting when he went out. Trade for a Bucs wide receiver. I actually like this idea a lot. Yeah, you're very confused by that one. I made a good joke there on the fly. You don't get it. Yeah, I'll tell you later. Trade for a Bucs wide receiver. The Bucs have, as we sit right now, and I'm estimating here, all of the wide receivers on their roster. They have Mike Evans. They have Chris Godwin. They signed Russell Gage, Julio Jones. Brashad Perryman's on this team. They spent draft picks on Jaelon Darden, Scotty Miller, and Tyler Johnson. They are legitimately 8 deep at receiver. They're not going to carry more than 7 at most, and it's probably more like 6. So these 3 guys, Darden, Miller, Johnson, I think are available. So I would have interest in making a potential move to go out and acquire one of those 3 guys. The addition of KaVontae Turpin, I think, could impact that. Maybe you have more interest in Tyler Johnson and Jaelon Darden, since Darden would have been a great punt returner for you potentially. But I think one of Johnson or Miller gets cut. So if you want another receiver option, yes, I would call the Bucs about trading for one of those guys. Now, speaking of trades, I want you to name a player who you want to trade for. Drop a name or names, just be realistic, in the comments section.